morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
On your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, our in-studio guest this morning is Dr. Houman Fekrazad.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning. And you're from the City of Hope.
That's right.
Along with Tricia, who is an oncology nurse. Yes.
Welcome.
And Dr. Fekrazad, you specialize in medical oncology and gastrointestinal cancer.
That's correct, yes.
Whoa, that's a mouthful. And later in the hour, we will be speaking with Nola Aronson, and who is one of the sponsors of the Senior Hour.
Right.
Well, it's good to have you both.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
You were here not long ago. At least it seems that way.
That's right.
But why don't we, every day we hear on the news a new cure or a new standard, a new criteria. And I think some of our seniors who are listening now get, not confused, but they want to understand what is going on with medicine, especially related to cancers. Cancers, the big C, that's the scourge of our society in the 21st century. And we hopefully will have that so-called cure one day. But where would you say right now that it's going? Would you say we're definitely moving in the right direction, or we're moving like molasses? How are we doing right now in terms of improvement statistically in curing cancer?
So that's a very good question. So let me start with this introduction that I went to medical school back in 1987. And back then we have a very limited tools to take care of patients with cancer, talking about a few decades ago. And as we learn in medicine, and we found new tools to diagnose the cancer, we found new remedies to treat the cancer. Obviously, the statistic has shown that the quality, number one, and number two, the survival of patients with advanced cancer has improved drastically compared to the 1970s. I read an article not long time ago in Times Magazine looking at the overall survival of patients with cancer, all comers, from colon cancer, lung cancer, brain tumors, you name it, and compared it from 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, 2000, and moving forward, the survival has dramatically changed. We used to lose approximately 70% of patients with cancer back in 70s. So some of them were undiagnosed, some of them are, they found some tumors, they did not know how to diagnose or how to treat, and patients were dying quickly. But nowadays, as Dr. Dorio is obviously heavily involved with the patient care at our facility in the Santa Clarita Valley hospital, so we diagnose patients rather quickly. We have tools. We take the any abnormalities in the radiographic or in the blood test seriously, and we diagnose them quickly with all the tools that we have. And the treatment has dramatically changed. So now in 2018, I can certainly tell you we still lose patients with cancer. I mean, cancer is still a death sentence for some patients, but not all.
And that number I think you were talking about from Time Magazine, we're talking about now those who are get a diagnosis of cancer, 2/3 of them will survive that cancer.
Correct.
And that statistic has been overwhelming compared to what we were talking about in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
But it hasn't been because we have some good treatment tools. But I think one of the things that our seniors really want to know about is the tools that we use to make the diagnoses. And, there's criteria, and every day you're hearing about, especially colon cancer, we just heard that the the criteria changed. It changed from 50 years old to 40 years old, and maybe even sooner than that in terms of diagnostic testing or screening, I should say.
Correct.
So, that's out there right now, and I think, our seniors, even though they're seniors, they have kids and grandkids who are facing the same dilemma and want the appropriate facts.
Absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, the first thing that we learn in medicine is prevention, and number two is treatment. So back in 70s and 80s, obviously colonoscopy was not a part of routine evaluation, or let's say mammogram, or let's say imaging of the lungs in patients who are smoking heavily. And the patient would come with an advanced stage when the disease is spread to other organs, and sometimes we did not have the tools to biopsy. For instance, nowadays, if we see abnormal lesion in the liver in a 70 or 80 or 90 years old patient, we put a little needle and guide them with a CAT scan to go directly and get a sample from the tumor with a very little or no potential side effects, and patient go home the same day. But back in 70s and 80s, first of all, there were no CAT scan to identify that lesion, and number two, in early 80s when we got the CAT scan, so they were opening the patient, doing laparotomy, opening the abdomen, going through the vessels and going to bowels, loops of bowels to find the tumor in the liver and get a sample. So very drastic change to diagnose. And as Dr. Dorio mentioned, that nowadays we have the targeted therapy. We identify a mutation, which means the abnormal finding in the cancer cells, and we directly find the treatments for that mutation. So imagine that you have a target and you put your dart inside of the target.
Amazing.
So back then we would give the poisons such as chemotherapy, hoping that not only it kills the cancer cells, but obviously it causes damage to the normal cells.
Oh, yes.
And nowadays we know the target, we found the mutation, and we go directly and attack that abnormality that is only identified on the cancer cells and is not seen on the normal cells. So obviously we don't harm the normal cells. And I have a patient right now on a treatment, we call it Herceptin. As a matter of fact, we saw the patient earlier today. So this lady had chemotherapy for the breast cancer, and she's on Herceptin now, which is the antibody against the cancer cells marker, which is a HER2. Patient's hair came back. She has no symptom. Some patients go back to work on full time. They come every 3 weeks to get the treatments and have little or no side effects because we obviously target only and only the cancer cells. So that's the difference that we see now.
And that, it's tremendous. I mean, what we're seeing and what we expect in the next 10 years is just going to change the gravity of everything that is going on right now. But, still in the news, we hear and, we talk about prevention, and we talk about the colonoscopies and the mammograms and the CT scans of the chest and, looking for things. Still, it has been put out there that, especially with mammograms, that, why do a mammogram? Because if you do a mammogram and you do some, ultrasounds or MRI, you're doing extra testing, and you're going to put the person through a lot of discomfort and pain and unnecessary testing that could be detrimental to them. And I hear that argument, but, the other side of that coin is that you might miss something. And if you miss something and then they come back and they're they were a stage 1 and now they're a stage 4, which is the worst stage, that's not good. So our seniors, especially our women, they're listening to the show right now and they're saying, okay, should I get the mammogram, and when should I not get it, and is it an unnecessary test, and will it lead to trauma to me, psychologic, as I'm waiting for results to come back? Should I do this? That's the big question for them right now. Should they, allow that screening testing to be done?
Yeah, that's a very valid and appropriate question that we always ask ourselves before we order a test for our patients. And to answer the question, I would say, number one, for audience that are hearing us, age is not a limiting factor. I think this is very
Tell me
important.
about it.
So the reason I'm saying that I get some gray hair and mature in this field,
I ended up losing it.
so when I went to medical school, I was 17 years old, and when I heard that people are in their 40s or 50s or 60s, I said, "Oh my, they are too old." And now I'm facing late 40s, and I said, "Still, I feel, young, and I feel energetic, and I can function." So, and I do the same thing for my patient. So to answer Dr. Dorio's valid question, if I have a patient who is in their 80s or 90s, but the patient has a lot of medical problems, the patient is a bed-bound, God forbid, had a recent heart attack, a stroke, I think it's not appropriate to order any test which can cause anxiety without any plan for the patient to get treated.
Mm-hmm.
And what we see in the geriatric population and people who are expertise in geriatric patients, the big message they give, less is better. Instead of giving 3 or 4 pills to the patient to treat the patient's blood pressure, it's better to patient's blood pressure can be lower, not too low to be in the 100 or 110, but in an acceptable range, and not the patient has side effects from the medication that they are going through. Same thing, mammogram, colonoscopy, risk for perforation of the bowel, risk for harming the patient. The way that I see it is just having a balance, Question that we ask ourselves, are we ordering something which can give us and lead us to a next step, which can be help the patients or not? Sometimes the doctors order a test and they don't know how to interpret the test or what to do with the result of the test. And obviously, this causes a lot of anxiety for the patient. So now in the field of oncology, we are learning something very, very new last 2 years. We call it whole genome sequencing. We can sequence the genome of an individual. What it means that we can find out if this individual, person number A, has a gene which can translate to cancer 5, 10, 20 years from now or not. So some doctors order for this test and they receive the result and they have a list of abnormalities that it can be irrelevant for the patient because the patient is in their 70s and they may not get cancer in their 90s or 100, but obviously they are under a lot of pressure. Oh, okay, what's going to happen to me in 2 years? What's going to happen? What should I do now? Should I do this? Should I remove my colon? Should I remove my breast because I'm at risk of getting breast cancer? And we see this dilemma. As a matter of fact, I remember that I saw a patient of mine. She has stage 4 breast cancer, and she's in her late 40s.
Oh, my goodness.
She's in her late 40s, and she has a 13-year-old daughter. So for this 40-year-old lady, I checked BRCA mutation. Is a mutation that like Angelina Jolie has.
Yes.
That we all know that this is a
BRCA,
BRCA or BRCA mutation that you are prone to get breast cancer. I checked her. It was negative. One day, the patient came to me for follow-up. She's on chemotherapy. She was tearful. I said, what happened? She said, the daughter's pediatricians checked her 13-year-old daughter for BRCA, and it came back positive, which is not recommended to be checked at that age.
Yeah, so that's the other side of the coin. Right?
Yes.
We have to
So now we know this
caution.
lady, this 13-year-old has BRCA mutation. Obviously, we are not going to do anything at this age because the risk of getting breast cancer is very low, and this little kid is traumatized, literally.
Sure.
She examines herself, she talks about this with her friends and family, her school performance has declined. So I didn't know how to interpret this after I talked to the pediatrician, and he said he made a mistake, so without consulting with us. So to conclude, before we order any test or before we do anything, we have to make sure we are not harming the individual, number one, physically, and number two, emotionally.
Psychologically.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was taking methotrexate for 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
One shot once a week. And it was a little over 5 years, and then they quit making it. Or during that 4 month time, I experienced severe indigestion, and I never got indigestion. And Dr. Bartay said, no, we're going to do a CAT scan and an MRI. And when he got the results, he said, I'm referring you to Dr. Black, local oncologist, because you have cancer.
Oh, no. Wow.
You have lymphoma.
Wow.
And it was almost 4th stage.
Right.
It was on the border.
Right.
But I would never have known had that medication not been available.
Right.
Because obviously I had it all along as a result, I believe, of that medication. Because I think it has now been proven through the Enbrel and methotrexate that lymphoma is a possible side effect.
Correct.
They didn't used to say that. And had I realized that when I started taking it, I wouldn't have touched the stuff. I would have stayed in pain if that's what it took. Because I didn't want to die of cancer. But had it not been discovered, chances are I wouldn't be alive today. Yeah. So it's really frightening. It really is.
Despite the fact, as we started out with Time Magazine saying, these are all great advances that we have, these great advances come with consequences. And these consequences, sometimes they might not have a physical consequence, but certainly they have a psychological consequence. And now we have to be much more aware of that as physicians and clinicians and nurses. We have to, make sure society keeps it within the box so that they don't go too far out of it, ending up startling or hurting or creating like mental problems that could then make life negative and quality of life negative for people. So it's important that, as we look at the technology and we discuss these issues, that City of Hope stays in the forefront. And, as your group has always done, you've made sure that what goes on with the patient is not outside the realm of what the human spirit has to look at and say, I'm going to use this or I'm not going to use this. Right. And we have to take steps slow to achieve and make sure that despite the fact we're getting statistically better, that we also have to make sure that our patients don't end up suffering because of what we are doing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's great to have you guys on the show. It's it's just mentally stimulating to know what's on the wave, the forefront. What sometimes Barbara and I call the tsunami of literature and understanding. And just keep up the good work. We appreciate
absolutely
everything you guys do. And just one last note, Tricia is here and she is going to be speaking at the Senior Center on Wednesday, June the 27th. From 1 to 2 o'clock, and the title is Truths, Myths, and Treatments for Cancer. What a great
thank
topic.
you. So it'll be a real easy talk to our seniors this National Cancer Survivor Month. I will be there with a nurse practitioner from Providence Holy Cross Cancer Center, and we'll be open to questions from our seniors. And just real quick, now we have all those direct-to-consumer advertising for genetic testing, just like the example Dr. Fekrazad mentioned. Just make sure you are talking to the right provider about getting those tests done and talking to a genetic counselor before you get it done, because you want to be able to follow up with the right people once the results come back.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for being on the show again. We're going to take a break and have Nola Aronson with us in just a moment. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
On Saturday, June 9, the Church on the Way Santa Clarita is hosting Medical Mission Adventures, a free clinic that offers medical, dental, and vision services. This event allows those without insurance to receive the best professional care at no cost. The doors open at 9 a.m. on June 9, and services are rendered first come, first serve. The Church on the Way Santa Clarita is located on Cinema Drive. For more information about this event and others coming up, visit our website at tcotwsc.org.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch. Full menu and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
With Facey Medical Group, good health is within your reach. Our doctors provide Santa Clarita's finest primary and specialist care at 4 convenient Santa Clarita locations. If you're looking for connected, convenient, personal care, there's no better place. We accept most health insurance, including plans offered through Covered California. Call 1-844-MY-FACEY for more information or to schedule an appointment.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
Something big is coming to Castaic.
Is it a dinosaur, Bob?
No, Blanche.
Is it the 2020 Olympics?
No.
I know. We're finally hosting the World Cup.
No, silly. They're building Castaic High.
Bob, no way.
Go visit CastaicHighProject.com. You'll get all the latest details.
What's that web address again, Bob?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Bigger than a dinosaur?
That's right. CastaicHighProject.com.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM and AM-1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And now we're speaking with Nola Aronson of Advanced Audiology, and she's one of our sponsors for the Senior Hour. Welcome, Nola. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
I saw you Saturday night.
Yes, we did. We saw each other at the Boys and Girls Club auction.
Yes. It was so much fun.
It was really good, and hopefully they raised a lot of money. There was a lot of people there.
Yes, there were.
It's a wonderful organization. I love supporting that organization because my passion besides hearing is with kids and helping kids read. Really into literacy and not having it around. And so I've been donating fiction books to the Boys and Girls Club. So they have a whole program. And they have a thing called Writers of the Future. And if you read these short stories and you feel like you want to write a story or illustrate something, you can enter a contest to have a book published of one of your short stories. So it encourages kids to read. And, you know, one of the great things about the Boys and Girls Club is that, you know, these kids have someplace to go.
And it's so important.
And then they're not on the streets. they're getting support, they're getting encouragement, they're getting, morals, they're getting help with their homework, they have a basketball court there, they have robotics, and these kids speak beautifully. If you haven't gotten a tour of the Boys and Girls Club here, it's wonderful. Celebrating their 50th anniversary. So anyway, I'm just love it over there, and I'm so thankful that we have a facility like that here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
It definitely gives kids structure. It gives them opportunity, something that a lot of kids around the country still don't get.
Right.
But here in Santa Clarita, for 50 years, people like you, Nola, have stepped to the plate and said we are going to make sure that no child is left behind, and these kids are not being left behind. And you're right, they're just super in terms of their character, their speaking, their attitude. I mean, they come out of there and they're like adults, but yet they're in middle school and high school, and you go, how does this happen? How could they be so genuinely good spirited, and and some come from difficult backgrounds, but yet they still make it through. But if not for the Boys and Girls Club, they just wouldn't have that opportunity. So thank you, Nola, for supporting all their efforts, and you continually do this in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids went to Valley View Elementary School where they had it was boys club only then.
Oh, that's right.
That was over 45 years ago.
Yeah.
That's how long I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
I haven't missed a year. In fact, I donated the first $500 to start the building fund for the new building over here. Well, it isn't new anymore, but
right. Well, you do a lot of wonderful things also, Barbara. So you're very supportive of this community.
Yeah, it's an incredible community.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have given a lot to my community, but my community has given a lot to me.
Right. That's how
really
I feel.
have. Yeah. Especially when I lost my son 32 years ago, and he was a member of the Boys Club then. And I had people leaving red roses on my doorstep. I didn't know who they were, but they would leave a single red rose and just leave it there on the doorstep, And they supported me like it was unbelievable. I couldn't have done it without.
Right. That's what this community does.
Yes, it really does.
We're a very philanthropic, giving, caring community, and we care about a lot of things. I think that's why we have about 110 nonprofits in this community.
You're probably right, because there are so many areas that need assistance.
Right.
And money is hard to get.
That's right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I feel good about on this note is that what we do for the community is we give free hearing screenings so that people can be aware and educated about their hearing, because it's so important for communication. And most of the people wait until everybody's complaining about their hearing before they'll even walk in to see an audiologist. But what we want to do is, like we developed here, last year we did 1,500 free hearing screenings. Well, we really did a little bit more than that, so we made it 2,000 this year, but you said 2018 we need to do.
Yes.
So we are at 944 free hearing screenings.
Whoa, that's wonderful.
At the half of the year. And it's really cool because when somebody comes in for a free hearing screening, a free hearing screening or a hearing test, we ask that they bring their significant other or family member or something. So what we do is when that family member comes, we say, would you like a free hearing screening? And people are actually very surprised when we do the baseline that, either their hearing's fine and now they know and they know what to look for, or they do have a hearing loss and they kind of suspected it, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. And I've found a couple of acoustic tumors from doing this screenings, And, so you shouldn't go without. That's all. And so if you make it free, people should take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you have nothing to lose.
Men in particular.
Well,
men in particular. No,
I
I'm
don't-
I'm serious. My husband wouldn't go for hearing tests for months and months and months.
It's usually 7 years. It's
Oh,
usually,
yeah, it was
that's
pretty
the
close
average.
to it. Pretty close to it. What'd you say? What'd you say? I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. And I'm thinking, oh God, please
Well,
go get that hearing
Let's
checked.
talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about one's quality of life, and whether it's in a guy or a girl. Let's talk about what happens when you lose your hearing and you don't know that you have that deficit. How does that, Nola, then affect one's quality of life? I mean, right away, I think that you're in your car and you're driving. Maybe you don't have a radio on, but you're driving and you don't hear that siren, that police car or ambulance right behind you.
Right. Well, that's, one thing. That's an extreme because most people that don't notice that they have a hearing loss don't have that much of a loss that they wouldn't hear a
That's
siren.
true. That's
It's
very
mostly
other
in
things?
communication.
Yes.
So when you're talking to people and you're having to put forth so much effort, it makes you so tired to go out to eat because the restaurants are so noisy. Or you like this group that you're connected to, and now you're finding that you don't really want to go to this group anymore because, you're not really understanding them anyway, so you make all kinds of excuses why you shouldn't go to this group. So that's your quality of life.
Yes.
Not being able to do the things that you loved to do before. If you do have a hearing problem, everybody knows about it. Your hearing loss is more conspicuous than any hearing device you can possibly get. But people don't want to come in. What I found is, number one, everybody thinks hearing aids are for old people.
That's right.
Now, yes, in the old days, they might have been for old people, and they were ugly, and they were big, and I was around 40 years ago to see all that, right? But that is not the facts today. The facts today is that the hearing devices are just what we need for hands-free wireless headsets. The wireless headsets and the things that we listen to our music, putting the earbuds in our ears and having to run and walk around with earbuds, are more conspicuous and big and ugly than a hearing device these days. Most people that wear hearing devices, nobody even knows they wear them, including my husband, who has an 85% hearing loss. And not one person has ever said, oh, you wear hearing aids? So that's number one, is the stigma of thinking that it's age-related. We work with kids from I fit a kid with 6 months old, and she's now 29, okay? Every age needs hearing devices. Yes, as we get older, we may lose more hearing, but that's no reason not to accept that you should come in so that you can communicate better. And like you were saying, Barbara, with your husband, that's most of the time is the other person notices the problem.
That's right.
They don't know how many times they're saying what, but it's really kind of annoying, and you get tired of repeating yourself. So that's, number one. This is what we love to do at Advanced Audiology, is we love to educate people. Just because you come in our door does not mean we're going to try to sell you a hearing aid. And I hate that word, sell you, because we have solutions to your hearing needs. We don't sell you anything. We help you.
That's right.
Of course, you have to pay for it. That's why it's called a sale. All right? Now, the other rumor and everything going around is hearing aids are so expensive. And so, therefore, we should go to a big box store where we buy our tires and our cereal to hear better because of price. And that's a really big thing because they don't understand what they're paying for. They think all hearing aids are equal. And that's what I'd like to get into,
They aren't.
pretty soon.
The big box stores do not have the quality of hearing devices. They just don't.
Well, they're also over 2 years old technology. So if you have newer technology that's helping you understand speech and noise, you know, that's what you're paying for. But what you're really paying for is you're paying for service. You're paying for the care. You're paying for knowledge. You're paying for our education that we can help you.
But technology is difficult, and sometimes when there's something that it's working and you know it's working, sometimes you don't realize that it can work even better and be enhanced if you have the right technology and the right person to talk to.
Right.
And that, you know, when that fails, then here you have a device and you're using it, but yet it's not being used optimally, and that's not good.
Right. And so people go around telling each other, hearing aids don't work, they don't help me, they whistle all the time, and it's because they're not fit right. You really have to understand hearing to be able to work with hearing aids with this new technology. You have to know when somebody comes in and gives you a problem, exactly what you need to solve that problem. Because they're all adjustable and they can all be fixed. And you don't have to hear the words, oh, well, you'll have to live with it. You'll have to get used to it. There's no such thing as you'll have to get used to it.
Right. And it's funny because if Russ's comes out slightly, I hear it clear across the other side of the house.
Right.
Because if it isn't in properly, it really lets you know.
Right.
Really does. And I think, oh, Russ, you need your hearing aid pushed in.
That's right. So,
well, it looks like we need to take a break. Yes, I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Marinated strips of steak grilled to perfection with onions, peppers, jack and cheddar cheese, ranchero sauce. Mouth-watering yet? I thought it would. I could keep going, but I won't tease you like that. I'll just tell you where to go. Cabo Cabana and Stevenson Ranch, where fresh is just the beginning. Delicious tacos, burritos, enchiladas, tostadas, Baja Authentic style Mexican food that you just won't be able to resist. What more could you ask for? Cabo Cabana on the old road in Stevenson Ranch.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Nola Aronson from Advanced Audiology. And speaking of quality of life, that's what we're speaking about.
That's right.
And if you cannot hear, you don't have a very good quality of life because you miss so much. Even the birds.
Oh, yeah.
You miss that.
Right.
The wind rustling in the trees. And those are things that's nature. You have to be able to hear it.
But what happens, Barbara, when you have a hearing deficit and you misinterpret, because of that deficit, you misinterpret what someone is saying? Sometimes they're on the news or the radio, or even sometimes a family member telling you, oh, don't forget to pick up your medicine. And they miss that, or they think that, they're going to go pick my medicine up for me. And that's not really what was said. There's so many things that are problems related to not hearing that can create problems down the line because of that misinterpretation.
Right. And so then you get back into the new research that's been done over the last couple of years about, it's our brain that hears, not our ears. When sound travels up the auditory pathways, it is understood in the brain. That is where it's processed. If the brain is missing certain sounds, even if you don't have a severe hearing loss, you have a mild hearing loss, let's say, there are still sounds that are in 80% of the English language. If you are missing those sounds, like one letter in a word, you won't understand. You'll hear just fine, but you won't understand. Now the brain is saying, well, what's that? What's that? And then down the road, they have linked up more of a prevalence of dementia and Alzheimer's to hearing loss, amongst other diseases like heart disease and things like that. But, it's not saying you're going to get it, but you have more of a chance of getting it.
That's right.
So why would you want to mess around with this? I mean, I really don't understand. Yesterday we had somebody in our office had about a 65% hearing loss, and they were just adamant they weren't going to wear hearing aids no matter what you do. I am not wearing them. And the daughter is begging, please, Mom, please, we all can't take it anymore. We have to No, I'm not doing it. Now, why would somebody do that? So we have all price ranges when it comes to hearing devices. However, the higher the technology, meaning the more clarity of sound, the more you're able to hear in background noise, that costs money.
Yes,
but
it does.
What people don't realize is that it's not just the price of a hearing aid. We're not talking about a commodity here. We're not talking just about price. There's a lot of service that goes with hearing aids. It doesn't go with eyeglasses and all that. You get your eyeglasses, you put them on. Once in a while, you may need an adjustment on your face or something. But then you get new eyeglasses, like another year or two.
But there again, it's quality of life.
Right. Can you put a price tag on it?
No, you absolutely cannot put a price tag on quality of life.
Right. And so we have all different methods of ways to help people pay for their devices. And we have Care Credit, which gives you 0% financing for 12 months. So you can break down payments. All kinds of things out there. But it's a matter of people, talking to each other. And when they don't get good service, what happens is then they talk about how they don't work and how bad it is and you shouldn't waste your money and why should I do this?
That's
and
right.
you listen to this instead of listening to how many people tell me, thank you for changing my life, why I want to do this for the last 40 years. Wow. The wife says, it's like the first day we got married. He can finally hear me. And one lady said, she has a parrot and that she raises parrots. And a couple of years ago, she noticed that her parrot was mumbling to her. And she didn't have time to try to work with the parrot's speech. And then she put the hearing aid on and she goes, I have to tell you, the parrot came out and said, good morning, how are you? And I heard him just fine.
Right.
So it wasn't the parrot.
It wasn't the
It
parrot.
was me.
No stroke there.
So anyway, if anybody's interested in free hearing screenings, you can come to Advanced Audiology on Valencia Boulevard. We are in the Owen Patterson Century 21 building next to AAA, the ones with the purple sign. Our phone number is 661-253 EARS, 661-253-3277. If you call today and you schedule your free hearing screening, we will give you a vacation of I forgot what it is now, 5 days, 6 nights. 5 day, 6 night vacation, or is it 3 day, 2 night? 3 day, 2 night vacation, or a George Foreman grill, whichever you prefer. You need your George Foreman grill for the summer. Come on
There you
in.
go.
Get educated, get your hearing checked, and you'll be a happy camper.
It just doesn't hurt to get the hearing test. It just doesn't, Nola.
Right. It doesn't hurt.
You just,
No, it doesn't.
You need to sustain your quality of life, and not doing it will not allow that to happen. And if you can't read lips, you're in trouble. Bottom line. So 944 screenings so far this year. You're going to try to achieve 2018. Phone number for Nola is 253-EARS. That's 253-3277. Nola Aronson, thank you. We started in the beginning congratulating you on Boys and Girls Club, but we congratulate you also with all the things you do with our seniors and coming on our show. And
next one is Circle of Hope, Vine to Wine on August 11th.
Wow. You're constantly involved, Nola. Tremendous. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology, Nola Aronson, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.